Hello! Hello, hello! It's me! And today we're making another doll, but this time it's special. This time it's a collab. Now the theme of the collab is supposed to be like fall/October, but okay, the description was make something that reminds you of fall, so I went for the creepy route. I'm making the puppet/marionette from Five Nights at Freddy's. For those that don't know, Five Nights is an RPG horror game that was super popular a few years ago. Now, I've never actually played the full game, but I'm very, very familiar with the lore and the theories that go behind it. Anyway, stay tuned to the end to find out more about the collab, and without further ado, let's get started! First off, the doll I will be using is a very old Frankenstein from Monster High. She has some pretty nasty stains from a failed repaint a few years ago, so I figured she's the perfect candidate for this. I'm cutting off her ears, and her face, and to get those areas as smooth as possible, I am sure to brutally sand them down. And for being the marionette, she is definitely the wrong color, so to change that, I start by prepping the plastic. This means that I sanded down the entire body with an electric sander. I also cut down and sanded the arms so that they are more flush with the hands. The purpose of sanding is to give the plastic a bit of roughness and tooth for the MSC to grab onto. I then proceed to spray 2 layers of MSC, one for the full body and one for the joints, and in between each layer, I rub on some black pan pastels. This took about 4 layers to become opaque. I do the same thing with her head, and as I need her face to be as flat as possible, I fill in the eye holes and other assorted bumps with epoxy sculpt. And this is normally where I would start the reroute, but as I was still waiting for the hair I ordered to arrive, I started on the stripes on the legs and arms instead. I draw them on with a regular old graphite pencil first, and then paint them in with white. I did each limb separately and didn't have the correct paintbrush for this, and this resulted in uneven strokes, but I think it's okay for a first attempt and I can fix them later. Okay, the hair still hasn't arrived, so I guess I'll start on the modifications to her face. My first thought was to use epoxy sculpt for this, but then I got scared and decided to use some scrap polymer clay I had laying around. I tear off a hunk and shape it to her face, and then I begin sculpting in the details of her features. This got real tedious, a word which here means very difficult, so difficult in fact that I had to do some of the process off camera.
Hi.
There we go. Now let's remove it from the face and bake it. Now that it has been baked and is hard as a rock, I can sand it. This smooths out all the fingerprints and aids in bringing out the details. Once it's all sanded, I can paint it. After painting it, I can give it a layer of Mr. Super Clear and work in some soft powder pastels. This adds a lot of depth and makes it look a bit more sinister. I couldn't resist making her at least a little bit cute, so I cut out a circle of fabric, put a hole in the middle, add a ribbon for a waistband, sew on some snaps in the back, and boom, you got a skirt. The original design has buttons attached, so I thought I would make some teeny weeny buttons out of polymer clay and secure them with super glue.
Hello?
Alright, The hair has finally arrived, so now I can start the reroute. I grab a few strands, hook them on the end of a broken needle, and plunge them into the head, like usual. There's some damage to the paint left after the reroute, so I'll touch those up later. I proceed to attach the mask with epoxy sculpt, smooth out the edges as much as I can, and boom! She's done. Alright, now that she's all put together, let's go to the photo shoot! Wait. Did you hear that? I better go get my flashlight and check it out. Alrighty, now that we've been thoroughly spooked, I can talk more about the collab. Now this is happening mostly on Instagram, so follow the hashtag RetroDollsUS collab, and there will be links to everything I talk about in the description, so be sure to check down there. I'd like to send a huge thank you to all of these wonderful artists. I wish I could have featured everyone that was involved, but there were so many. I would also like to give a huge thank you to RetroDollsUS for hosting the collab and supplying me with the hair I used for this custom. Her pricing and quality are excellent. And as always, thank you everyone so much for watching. Keep creating. Bye!